Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are here for the second match of the South African A series, taking on the Bristol Bears. This game is a hard one to find. I'm actually watching it through Bristol Bears TV for this matchup, but there's an exciting South African A side here lining up against a Bristol Bears side with a few new faces due to the international selections that we have seen from England. They are actually taking on the All Blacks a little bit later on in the weekend. But nonetheless, looking through at that starting lineup for South Africa A, they are going to be as follows. Machunu will be slotting in at number 1, Andre Hugo Fenta at 2, and then Thomas Datoy as the tight head prop. Then Jason Jenkins and Ruan Nokia will be slotting in as the 2 locking partners for this matchup. Mako van Staren at number 6, Heinrich Lowe, and then JL Duprea at number 8. Grant Williams slotting in at 9, then Sasha Ngomezulu, I should say, as number 10. Now, he was initially selected for the Springboks, but then now has been selected in South Africa A. Will get the opportunity at fly half, an extra little bit of a rig in terms of that man's skill level. Lillian Zas at 11, Cornel Hendricks and Henko van Veek in the midfield, Hudson Berg out on the other wing, and then it will be Lombard as the fullback for this game. Looking through at the Bristol Bears lineup, Thomas, Byrne, and Laheath will be the front row. Joyce and Batley as the 2 locking duos. And actually, the fun fact there, their first names are both Joe. There you go. Didn't know that. Bradbury, Heenan, and Harding there as the loose forward trio. Porter and Sheedy will be the midfield, the 19 combo at the halves. Then it will be Ibatoye out on one wing, Bedlow and O'Connor's in the midfield, Bailey and Morahan closing out this lineup. And score prediction for me, this Bristol Bears side, they are missing a few of their key players, so that may affect my score a little bit. They haven't got Piatel, they haven't got Luatua also in that 4-pack, missing a few other players. So I will say South Africa A by 12. But then saying that, we thought they would win the game up against Munster, and they ended up losing that one, and Munster seemed to breeze by in that contest. So that is something that the South African A side certainly don't want to happen here up against the Bristol Bears team that, on paper, theoretically, I wouldn't think many South African players or South African supporters, would actually know many of these players. So it's going to be a bit of a new look side, which is why it's so exciting. Anyone who's watched the Gallagher Premiership for a little while will know a few of these familiar faces. But yeah, this match is going to be an exciting one, that is for sure. And also, evening all, says Richard. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well today for this Thursday night fixture in South Africa. Friday morning here in New Zealand, kicking off in only about 2 minutes' time. We have just got the South African national anthem. And then from there, we are getting straight in. And Bristol by 6, upset Bristol by 4-1. I fancy an upset, says Jack Lewis. And that's the thing. They've got a very good chance of being able to do so. At the end of the day, the South African A side didn't quite click the way that they wanted to last week. Seemed to be that even though they had a ton of talent in that lineup, putting them all together into one setting just didn't quite work for South Africa A up against the Munster men. So now this is going to be a different story up against Bristol. They've had an extra week together, or an extra 2 weeks it might even be, and they'll certainly be looking to make the most of it. Oh, hi there, guys, says Johannes. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are also doing very well in that regard. But that is the South African national anthem. Cornel Hendricks is fired up and ready to go. England, New Zealand prediction. Don't forget I'm English, says Jack there. For me in that game, it's certainly going to be a lot closer than people think. 10 in favour of the English. Okay, I can see that you are English with that prediction. But I would say, for me, I would say All Blacks by 7, just because I feel it's going to be a close matchup. But the selections that the All Blacks have gone with this week look a lot better than they did the week prior when they selected up against Scotland. You know, you got Big Brody back in the locking duo. Also in that back line, I think they've gone with something that looks a little bit better in terms of Smith Moong at the 19, and then also Barrett's going to be slotting out at fullback. And we've got Geordie Barrett at 12, which could be a massive help for the Kiwis as well. Morena Hamish, how's your week been? Hope all good. Says Nate, it has indeed. It's been quite busy. Even though there haven't been that many live streams, we have been doing a lot of planning. Me and George at one point managed to go fishing. That was interesting. We took Daniel along with us. And it didn't go that well. And also, I don't know the Bristol team. New one for me. Let's hope we see some good games, says Johannes in Twickenham Stadium, baby. Don't underestimate the power of Swing Low Sweet Chariot, says Jack. And there, yeah, Japan certainly didn't. And Argentina also. They weren't a side that underestimated it. Well, Argentina, that was an interesting game. I'm sure you hate when people mention that game. It's like when people bring up the 2019 semi-final of the World Cup. That is the one thing we're probably going to hear a lot of throughout the next couple of days is what happened in the last time that New Zealand played England. But I have to wait and see whether or not it's a similar result. Quick question. Have you a match tomorrow before the Saturday game, says Richard? I don't believe so. I don't think we've got any games kicking off. Unfortunately, Harlequins versus Barbarians is actually taking place at the exact same time as this game. Because if it wasn't, we would have been doing that game also. But now South Africa A, they will be kicking this one off. I've realized that I am actually on the scoreboard today. So there we go. We'll start that going for us. And there we go. We have got it underway for this matchup. Nicely taken by the Bristol Bears straight away inside of their own 22. Like I mentioned, this Bristol Bears side, not too many people will know a few of these players. Will Porter, though, about to kick up the box kick long and hard. And it has gone downfield. Decent clearance, about 40 metres out now. South Africa will have themselves their line out. Good morning, all. You're walking tripods in the chat, says Chad there. That's an interesting greeting. I don't think I've heard before. And also, Hamish, good morning from Lynn, Kevin, and Patches. My prediction, 35-15 to South Africa, says Kevin in there. Okay, I'm not. I guess I'm not completely against that score. I feel like it's very close to what we may see. Definitely if South Africa A can get it right early on, £500 on Bristol to win by 20 plus, returns £10,000. Did you put that on them, Jack Lewis? I hope not. But then saying that if it pays out, it pays out, you know. It would be a massive win. There is probably a reason it is so high. Now Cornell Hendricks does nicely there. Big hit up. Thomas Detoy sitting about 38 meters out from the line. Now Machuno crashes at the line. Lucky he's got a springy jumper because that is the only thing that kept Jake Heenan on his back. Now trying to break through the line. Ngomezulu not quite able to make it. Now Grant Williams, a player who a lot of people want to see in the Springboks in the future. And Pat Lam, coach Bristol, right? He is indeed. So he signed a 5-year deal. Then Bristol went downhill. But he is still there, and they seem like they're slowly starting to make their way back up. Oh, this sounds like a penalty. Side entry from Blue. Okay, already we're seeing a bit of an argument taking place between Chuno and Ngumezulu. That's not really what you want to see in the first 2 minutes of your South Africa. And also we have got there South Africa A, Will is hell, says Javaguru, and Rassi Erasmus has been banned for 2 matches after he took on the rest, says Johannes. I did see that. I saw a headline just before this live stream that he did get himself in a bit of trouble again, Rassi Erasmus, but the man doesn't really learn, does he? Like last time he tried it, he got banned for a lot longer. Then he tried it again, thinking that there would be a different result. And that's normally, what's that saying? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. World Rugby weren't going to go, okay, Rassi, since we let you have the ban, now we'll let you do it again. We'll let you slander all our referees just for fun, and we won't do anything. Now, Ngomezulu, now about to line up this kick early on for South Africa. They're looking to add the 3 points on the board. And did you catch any fish, Hamish? We only caught 1. And we're fishing nice, big unwrapping early Christmas presy, or busy unwrapping the early Christmas presy, says Nate. But that kick has gone over from South Africa A, and that will make the score 3-0 now in favour of the South Africa A side. So a much better start than they had up against Munster, taking on the early points when they were on offer. And I feel like that's just a little bit of respect towards the Bristol Bears as well. They did decide to go for the corner each and every chance that they got early on up against Munster. But now it seems like they want to make sure they're getting those points on the board. And yeah, not underestimating any opportunities that they get. It's going to be knocked down nicely by Callum Sheedy. Little bit of a handling error there from Epitoye, but it's going to become a penalty. It's actually going to be a penalty in favour of South Africa. What are we up to now? Says Nate, it's pretty much, if that man didn't have Twitter, he'd still have a job that was very secure, I guess is the best way of describing it. But because that man has Twitter, and Elon must have given him one of those free ticks, or he probably didn't give him it for free. He probably had to pay the $8 a month like everyone else. But once he's got his tick, I feel like that is where the power goes to the head, doesn't it? And also, will he make France next year is the big question, says Richard. That depends if he wants to keep on saying that World Rugby's corrupt. Because if he does, he won't. But if he doesn't, he might get to do some more coaching. And I was like, well, I have to go back to the USO, go Bristow or go Bristol. And we're all betting on the bet when you can afford to lose. So if you can afford to lose £500, then well, says enough mum there. And yeah, Connor, coach before Bristol. Nicely taken by South Africa. That one was actually taken by Heinrich Lowe. And now the rolling maul starts for the Springboks A. Looking like it's not really going too far at the moment. This Bristol side in the Gallagher Premiership actually normally have a relatively solid rolling maul on attack. This one defending, of course, Cornell Hendricks, 10 metres out from the line, tackled by the number 10 for Bristol, Callum Sheedy. Grant Williams has to fight for that one. Ruan Nokia knocks it on, and now will be Bristol, who have got themselves a scrum feed. And England, on the way, says it was Nate, and also evening, Nate. Says Richard there, but just a little knock on from Ruan Nokia. This leads to the first scrum of this contest, and it is only 5 minutes into this game. I feel like it's going to be a relatively intense one. Now, what we're going to be doing is while this game has taken place, we will have Harlequins versus the Barbarians actually up on my phone, watching along with the live stream of that one. It is actually free on YouTube to watch the Barbarians match, but it is not free to watch this game. I believe everywhere it is pay to watch. So whether that's a SuperSport subscription or the other option is Bristol Bears TV. We will go like that. And we will go like that. There we go. We have got Scott Robinson at the moment having a bit of an interview by the looks of it before the match up. But the scrum feed goes down. Porter about to put the ball in for the Bristol Bears. Just roll it in. A big push looking like it's going to be coming. In fact, no, very structured and stagnant, I guess is the way you would describe that one. Grant Williams now tries to kick the ball out of his hands, going short side for Morahan. Get some good distance on that one, but it's taken nicely by, it is the number 15, Gianni Lombard. Great tackle made on him. Bristol all over him in the breakdown, but somehow they have been able to just keep that ball, have they? Grant Williams looks like he's having a dig for that one. Now Jason Jenkins cuts back in, a man who wants to get back into that Springboks lineup. That's going to be the penalty in favour of Bristol, and one of their players is fired up. It looks like only one, though. Literally just the one guy is shouting. Everyone else is like, yep, it's good. We won the penalty. Thanks very much. Now let's go, boys, says not everyday cultist. And also we have got Evening Richard, says Nate. Jason Jenkins, like I mentioned, another player similar to what we saw for Sasha Umezulu. He did get selected for the Springboks, but now has been, I guess, not really demoted's not the right word, but utilised in the South Africa A side. He wasn't getting time for the Springboks and might as well have had some time under his belt, and that is what he is finding for this matchup up against Bristol, which I believe this is the last game for South Africa A of their tour. And also, hey guys, go check out the Kiwi Lads Entertainment channel. That is true. Haven't plugged it yet, George, but the Kiwi Lads used to be the Kiwi Lads Gaming. Some of you guys may already be subscribed, but be sure check out one of our other channels, the Kiwi Lads Entertainment. That one is not straight for Byrne, unfortunately, Brian Byrne. Now, there's quite a few Burns in World Rugby at the moment. You got Harry Byrne, you got Ross Byrne, you got Brian Byrne, Bernie Byrne, I'm sure is a name somewhere around the world. Maybe not in either of these sites or in rugby, but there's surely a Bernie Byrne somewhere. And also, where are you watching this game from today? I actually bought a subscription to Bristol Bears TV. So I believe it was about £5, I think. So I'm not sure what the conversion rate is. It's probably butchered me in that regard, but we don't want to miss this match. And definitely didn't want to miss the opportunity to do the commentary for it. And leg burn, foot burn, lots of burns. Says Jack and Remo, first comment, it's a joke. I'm very disappointed with Bristol Bears YouTube channel. Says Richard, yeah, I did see that you did mention how they were making people pay for it. But I guess it's just, in a way, if they know there's a market for it, it's kind of, I guess, an opportunity to show everyone what their site can do, if that makes sense. Because I'm watching on Bristol TV. I don't need a VPN or anything like that, so it's quite handy. In that regard, apparently, Sideburns a handy player as well, says Nuzzy Williams, apparently. Yeah, I mean, got a bit of a sidestep on him too, doesn't he? That's going to be another little bit of a mistake from Bristol, and South Africa A will have themselves a scrum feed. There's a Dallas parade in Timaru this weekend. Hamish, are you and George going to show face? Is there? It is just up the road. I mean, if George is still in the chat, maybe we could look and do something. I know we are going to be covering the commentary for that matchup alongside All Blacks versus England, South Africa, Italy, and Australia, Ireland. Other than those games, Or we might have a Monday night fixture as well, but there is a lot less on this weekend than there was last weekend. Last weekend, I was awake for a good 28 hours in a row, and I pretty much couldn't keep my eyes open by the end of it. But we made it through. In the end, also, excuse my dry house joke, says Nazi Williams. It's going to be a mistake from South Africa now this time. Everyone's just making those little knock-ons, little everything along those lines. So it is going to be now the scrum fee for Bristol. So we're not missing too much at the moment throughout this game. We're seeing scrum, and then one side drop the ball, scrum, then the other side drop the ball, and then another scrum. And we are watching from Pretoria, but soon Apparel will be cut off. And also, Hamish, hope you're well rested, Kiwi lads. Rock, what you feeling about these Bristol Bears? They're English, so they are tough. Says Roof. I'm sure they would have loved to have a few more of the regular players in their side for this contest, but I think there's still a relatively decent side. You know, if they get that structure going in the back line, having Porter and Sheedy, two men who do play a little bit together in the Gallagher Premiership in that combination, I think, you know, that back line that Munster had, when they got that structure right, caused South Africa a few problems. Bernie Byrne has said hello. You were very quick with that, whoever that is. Fair play. Because we only mentioned that like 3 minutes ago. And who have you got for this game? I'm going South Africa A, but it's going to be a close one. Straight over the ball. Oh, South Africa A almost able to get that ball, but instead now it's going to be Sheedy. Passes off to the short side. Going to be the captain, Joyce. Now off them, behind all, Grant Williams rushes up and almost led to the interception, and straight away he's back in a breakdown. It seems like he's just fighting for every little opportunity that he gets. Now ball on the outside, not a lot of space here for Ibatoye. Oh, almost stolen in the breakdown by Fenter. Grant Williams once again rushing up. A different defensive style than we see from a lot of halfbacks. Going back into the pocket to Sheedy. Puts it high, waiting for this one to come down. A little bit of a slip there from Hendricks. And because of it, in fact, it was Hudsonberg and the Bristol Bears have been able to regather this ball. Now going off to the left-hand side, it will be Porter. One more back across. Good shot put onto him by Machunu. Good phase play, though, from the Bristol Bears here. Now, a ball on the outside has gone over the top. Ibatoye is waiting for it. Tries to go straight over the top. Oh, it's off as a number penalty for South Africa. Great work in the breakdown. I believe it was actually a Bristol Bears player in the side of the breakdown that did end up with the penalty. And also, he's going to put on a fake mustache and walk into the game anyway. Hello, it's me, Mario Erasmus, says Gareth. Yeah, see, it's an interesting one for him, isn't it? Because all he had to do was wait. Well, that's the thing. If he waited 2 weeks, he probably would have gotten a longer ban. So all he had to do really was just not call out the referees. Like, everyone hates refereeing decisions at times. But when you're a big figure in rugby, you can't afford to say this is all corrupt. And, like, you know, it shouldn't have happened the way that it did because it gets you in trouble. And come on, you Bears. There's Fluffy, and also let's hope South Africa get it right tonight. Have to get basics right. Forget the fancy stuff in Bristol. Have a strong lineup today, says Annoying. I would say not really if you are talking about their normal available squad. Like they haven't got Semi Radradra in that back line. No Charles Piutau, no Stephen Luatua. Three massive players in this Bristol Bears side for so long. But they've still got a decent enough side that can push the South Africa A team if they can get it right. But the owner of YouTube said no one would have to pay for YouTube for as long as he lived. So really don't add up, says Richard English. Although they do have YouTube movies that people have to pay for. So I assume that it's similar to that in that regard. And also, how do you feel about Rassie Erasmus going after the ref, says Luke. I feel like the way he did it once again was not smart from the man. For a man who's supposed to have a brilliant brain, it seems to only be a rugby brain that he's got. The social skills, not so much, as he keeps getting himself into troubling situations. And it's just like a two-match ban once again for a man who's trying to get himself into the South African picture, I guess you could say. Just not very smart from Rassie. Ban that man from Twitter. That's the better one. Give Elon an email. Say, listen, it's like our crazy uncle who keeps on going on tweeting things that he shouldn't. We get him off Twitter, then maybe you've got a coach for the World Cup. And Rassie knows he's not popular with World Rugby at the moment, they think, says Roof. I mean, there'd be no way that he would be popular with him. He just keeps on saying that they're a corrupt organisation. So a restraining order on Rassie should work. Says Fluffy South Africa never used to complain about things. I wonder when it changed. Says Hanoi. And there's it's going to be a line-out throw for South Africa. Now 40 metres out from this Bristol Bears line. We are currently 13 minutes into the contest. Wait a minute. Did he actually get banned again? 2-match ban. So he's not allowed to be taking part in any of the build-up to Italy versus South Africa, and also none of the build-up for England versus South Africa, which is pretty much the one that everyone's been waiting for a long time to see what tactics he's going to bring out. Now he's going to have to do it from afar. Now nice backline movement, starting to move here. Morahan in the midfield. Does join the line, tackled by Cornell Hendricks. Now Porter back across the Bristol Bears. They've had good face play. That is Thomas Tatoy just jumping straight over the ball. Could have been a penalty. Favour of Bristol. It's going to be an awkward, swirling one for Sheedy. Now nice footwork. They're on the short side from Gianni Lombard. Hudsonberg now. Looks like a Bristol Bears player. He's not going to really be able to roll away from that breakdown, and the Bristol Bears are able to turn the ball over in the breakdown. Nicely done by Ibatoye. Now, available for Bristol. They've had about, I'd say, 5 to 10 minutes of attack here recently, and they just haven't quite been able to get through, but now it's their chance. Joe's going, and that's Joe Burnley, or Batley, I should say. Now, it's a big shot. It's unfortunate for that man's head. Now, Nokia penalty advantage against them. Porter's throwing that ball backwards, and it's going back for the penalty. Anyone know where I can stream the game? So if you are in South Africa, it is on Super Sport. And then other than that, it is on Bristol Bears TV. That is the only other option to be able to watch this game. It's really, unfortunately, very small for where to watch these games. And also, they think he's too critical of the rest. He's a legend in South Africa, says Roof. And also, did you see that Nigel Welsh ref said about the South Africa card? Says Richard English. I assume Nigel Owens would have made a comment on it. He might make a burner account and post, says Hanoi. But the problem is, the man makes burner accounts, but he doesn't change anything. He doesn't change the structure of his tweets. He almost could end up writing a burner tweet and then signing from Rassi. Like, that's how obvious it is at times for who it is. And also, it's really only Rassi. Us fans don't typically like to complain about the ref, says Hanoi there. I'm sorry, that was not your everyday culture. And also, it's the South Africa main team playing or side team. So it is their side team, I guess. In that regard, Italy are going to be where the main team are finding themselves in this weekend. Max fixing is a criminal business. Rassi must be fearful. These people can be dangerous, says Zebin. Well, it's just more like if he wants to have a job, it's like working at KFC. Not really, but it's like working at KFC, and everyone who comes to the window, you say, chicken's really bad. Don't have it. You know, I wouldn't eat the chicken, and I work here. That's the kind of thing that Rassi Erasmus is saying. I wouldn't trust the referees, and I'm a coach in the world of rugby. It's just, you got to be strategic. If you're working at KFC, serve the chicken. If you're playing rugby or you're coaching rugby, play the rugby. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. That's all I'm going to say. And we should all go on Twitter with Rassi's handle. Well, you can get verified for $8 a month. You can just put it in Rassi Erasmus or the real Rassi or something like that. And then you could just have fake tweets. That's literally what people are going to do now. And Ref Barbecue could listen the food crisis. And what do you think should World Rugby do about the ref situation since they keep costing South Africa a game? Says, look, I don't think it's just South Africa, though. I feel like there are multiple teams in the world that would say the refereeing has been below par. It's just more we hear about it from South Africa a little bit more. And that's not anything bad. That's just because normally the fans are a little bit more passionate. And because of that, it can lead to passionate conversation. They want to go upstairs here, but they've been waiting 15 years for them to go upstairs. I'm actually going to take 3 minutes off my clock as they've got to actually fire up the old Windows PC so that they can see some action replay of this one. To be honest, Hamish, last week commentary, I smashed it out. Make sure you get as much sleep tonight, says Nate. Yeah, I'm going to have to be strategic. Last night, at the time of this one, I actually only managed to get myself about 4 hours sleep, which wasn't strategic. So I'll have to make sure that I sleep a little bit more tonight as well. And also, the ref says, simply, and also World Rugby can do no more about the refs because they might remember, says Richard, and also nice, says Nate, and disagree. It's hard to hand. It isn't the hand that feeds him. World Rugby are toothless, and Rassi is saying, what are you going to do about it? Are we calling you out? Show us what you can actually do. But the question is he, as a coach in World Rugby, the player to be able to do it? And the answer is probably no, because as a referee, you're supposed to, or not a referee, sorry, as a coach, you're supposed to be, I guess they have got in the rules, you're not supposed to call out the referees. Like if it was someone else in that South African system, if it's, tell you what, that dietitian might be looking for a job, get her to call out World Rugby. Her and Nelson, they'll both be keen. Try and get some money. Aresi Erasmus, there you go. He's on fire once again. Whoever did that last one of Bernie Byrne is now made Aresi Erasmus. That's an old school photo as well. Well, looks like right. We're still waiting for that TMO. This TMO. Oh no, now we've got it. Okay, so it gets passed across. Jason Jenkins. I mean, for me, he would have been hitting him in the chest, but then the player dropped. So I don't think there's anything too much in this at the moment. But because it's Jason Jenkins is a tall man, but the Bristol Bears player almost went into it at the knee. And he's a Mike Bears. And then also we can expect some hard knocks in this one. South Africa have to stop their critics, concentrate on their natural game, says Ruth. Right, this framework is not ideal. We're looking for Jason Jenkins. They're saying he might end up with 10 minutes in the bin. That's a different challenge that they're looking at. I feel like the TMO is just pretty much doing things for fun at the moment. Bristol losing after months to beat the South Africa, says Totally Lemon. Although they might have a man advantage in the near future here. Okay. They're still looking at this one. I should have stopped my clock a long time ago. I'm going to have to go back 3 minutes again. That means we've taken 6 minutes to decide what this decision should be. It's a long time. How's it simple? If you play clean rugby, don't get the rest of the decision to make, says Richard. Although in some regards it can be harder to do than, I guess you could say, than it is on paper, because in some cases the referees do make the wrong decisions. But I think it's more finding that consistency of what the refs are doing wrong and why it's so different between all of the referees. Are you going to stream the Wales game, says Luke. Who are Wales playing? And does it overlap with anyone, Luke? Do let me know. Because if they are actually, if they're the middle game of the Sunday, we won't be, because we are actually going to be covering New Zealand. Oh, sorry, not New Zealand. Samoa versus Australia. Okay, this is taking way too long for them to make the decision here. So I reckon Barry the Baboon will make a great ref, says Fluffy. Okay, they're saying. Okay, I've missed half of that, but they are extremely grateful for their fans, the Bristol Bears are. They said. I'm going back another minute. At this point, they need to make a decision, because this is going very long. And also, we have got their World Rugby need critics. I'm not saying Rassie's right, but World Rugby need critics. Otherwise, nothing will change. They will keep being a stuck-up old boys club, and the sport won't progress, says Gareth. But yeah, I think, like, outside figure-wise, if you had, it's hard to know who would actually be someone to listen to, isn't it? Because you've got yourself the situation of you can't have it as a coach, can't have it as a player. The ex-players maybe might get a bit of a say, but then saying that, if you're still looking for a commentary gig, like half of the ex-players in World Rugby are, you don't want to be biting on toes. Is that the saying, biting toes? I don't feel like biting toes wouldn't be very pleasant, would it? Although some people have a kink for that. They're still checking this TMO, ladies and gentlemen. They've finally decided that Jason Jenkins had a slight shoulder to the head of a Bristol Bears player. Even though the Bristol Bears player was ducking, it is still going to count as the yellow card for Jason Jenkins. Right. That one only took 7 minutes to decide on. Okay, Jason Jenkins going to be going off the field for 10 minutes in Georgia at 1 p.m. Irish time, says Richard. Okay, so that might be the slightly early game. That actually overlaps, I believe, with South Africa, Italy, if I'm not wrong. And same as LIFO, Richard. Play clean and don't give the cops a decision to make. Says Nuzzy Williams and Wales is playing Georgia, but I'm not too sure what time. Hello, guys, says the dietitian. Hello. Hope you're doing well. And also, Flora, bro, it's the fuzz, says Fluffy. Probably not the best advice And then 8 minutes, what a joke, says Fluffy. That took a very long time, that is for sure. But Jason Jenkins, he ends up with that yellow card. Tell you what, the Harlequins YouTube channel at the moment, they're doing the Harlequins versus Barbarians game, ladies and gentlemen. They have got 5.6 thousand people watching. If that's not a sign that maybe more games should be live streamed on YouTube, I don't know what is. And also, ref only joking though, says Simsley, and also come on South Africa, hey, better beat Bristol, says a rugby edge. But now Callum Sheedy has been able to get that conversion over. That will make the score 3-3 between these two sides. And the clock is only 6 minutes ahead of Harlequins versus Barbarians. That started almost a whole 15 minutes later. That's not good for time-wise. But luckily, we got all morning. Although it's quite late in South Africa, isn't it? Well, this matchup at Ngome Zulu kicks it back off. We're underway. We're getting to see some rugby, ladies and gentlemen. Inside of the 22, great work in the breakdown from South Africa. Hey, almost able to get that turnover there. Was the big man on that low. Now ball available for Porter. Looking to roll this one back. He's been told to use it quickly by the referee and get some good height on it. Looking for the touchline. The ball's gone out. Good clearance once again. And guys, the rumours aren't true, says the anthems. Yeah. And they had no idea how many rugby streamers there was, especially for a minor game, says Gareth Fergus Dotter in there as well. I guess overall, I'm not too sure how many outside of South African rugby streamers are doing this game. I assume there'd be a few, surely. But also, I guess there's that opportunity for people because they know it's only available on pay to watch pretty much. So there'll be a few random streams popping up, I would think, of people, I guess, doing it and hoping not to get taken down by YouTube, which is normally a good tactic until YouTube take you down. I mean, we get taken down even when we don't show the game, which is quite unfortunate. And also, what rumours, Z? The rumours about her and Elton Yankees, the ones that he confirmed were true. So, yes, yeah, interesting scenario. No, I agree. More live streams on or live games on, says Nat. And also, what is a Dota, by the way, says Gareth. And a lot of games are on YouTube, especially in Europe, Tier 2 and South America, says Gareth there. And I feel like they're doing it strategically. At the end of the day, if you haven't got yourself a massive broadcast option, or if you have, but you still want to try and give people an option to be able to watch who 100% aren't buying a broadcasting service. Like, that's the thing. There are many people who would be watching this game if it was available for free, but in no way would be paying for a subscription. Like, no one's paying £5 who only wants to watch this game, kind of, if that makes sense. But it's those kind ofs that you got to turn into regular fans. And by doing that, or to try and do that, you got to give them something to watch free to air. People love free stuff, like free trials of things, free samples at a supermarket. Half the time you don't even know what you're eating and you eat it. That's not true. Normally I'm very picky with my free samples. Isaac actually for a little bit there was serving salmon to people, which was a bit fancy. Very posh. That's going to be a kick for the posts now for South Africa. Lining it up again. We've seen a lot of penalties in a row, and yeah, but they're free. Gareth by World Rugby YouTube, says Richard. Free sex is good too, says Gareth. Isn't that defending yourself hard like a true box, says Sim Slayer. What the hell? Or what the heck is going on with the Yankees and the dietitian? Are they just friends now? Sounds like me and Mo relationship. But yeah, I think so. Or Elton, he kind of, after doing so, he was like, oh yeah, I have a wife and kids. Probably shouldn't have done that. Well, I think he's all good with the missus now, which is good news. But yeah, not ideal. He's been taken out of that South African picture for a little while, and that multiple flings, says Simp. Now lining up this one, Ngome Zulu, and it's over. South Africa take the lead in the contest, 6 points to 3 now over the Bristol Bears. Going to understand how Rassi got himself banned again. The Boks had better win. Stairs, better who stays, and Rassi got banned. Yep, once again, 2 matches he is not allowed to take part in game day activities. So, in other words, he's not allowed at the stadium for that matchup up against Italy, and not allowed at the stadium for the matchup up against England due to his tweets. And also, is Gianni the kicker? Oh, is it Gianni Lombard taking the kicks rather than Ngome Zulu? That could be the case. I've been calling him Ngome Zulu the whole time. Maybe that's just because I'm trying to practice that name. So it's quite a tricky one. And also, what's up, Elton? Says Sim Slayer. And also, we have got there. Rassi got banned. Says Sim Slayer. He certainly did. And free salmon and mid-Canterbury sounds like a trap. Says Fluffy, well, sometimes, you gotta be willing to give out the good stuff to be able to make sales. That sounds dodgy. Doesn't it? Of course, we're talking salmon. Those are the old school days of the podcast, the Kiwi Lads podcast. You guys won't even know what that is, some of you. In fact, no one knew what it was. This is old school. Back when we had like maybe 500 subscribers and I had shorter hair. Me and Isaac, we used to do the Kiwi Lads podcast each and every week. It was actually very fun. We're going to have to bring one back. Now, down on the wing, Bristol getting close to the line. Oh, Sheedy had nowhere to go. Strategically, though, I think he passed the ball to the South African defender, but I don't think he got away in time. Yeah, we did a 1,000 subscriber special on that podcast. I'm smiling just thinking about it. There were some interesting moments on that one. And Isaac actually mentioned about how when he was serving salmon, he saw Chris Hemsworth, or someone who looked exactly like him anyway. This was when Chris Hemsworth wasn't in New Zealand, but, it made sense at the time. And Isaac giggles each time when folks make dietitian jokes, says Simp Slayer. Yeah, when you know the backstory of them, there's some interesting jokes that can be made around the world. I can't remember our last little patch that we had. And I was like, do you think Retallick is going to be a good choice for New Zealand? He's also a legend for the All Blacks. I hope he's still match fit, which he should be. Big Brody, he works extremely hard. Like, you watch him in those, like, training videos for the ABs, and he's always going. Like, no matter, wow, charge down. Sorry, I got a bit excited there. It's going to be just in the end goal area. Goes dead, so I believe it's going to be now a goal line dropout here. Hey, guys, just popping in to say that the rumors aren't true, guys. You literally confirmed it, though, on your Instagram, Elton, didn't you? I believe. And there's another person hit another person with a hurling stick across the face in Ireland last weekend. Oh, nice. As you do. I remember playing hockey at school, and it's always lethal because no one's got any hand-eye coordination. So people are just attacking your shins, not the ball. Like, there's no etiquette in school-level hockey. Like, this is, like, not even serious hockey as well. This is, like, in PE. And everyone's just smacking absolutely everything out of your shins and your hamstrings and whatnot. And you get the occasional one that smacks you in the stomach because they can't aim. That's going to be a 22 dropout, in fact, now. Nicely taken by the Bristol Bears. Still a very close matchup. No one has scored a try as of yet. A couple have been close. Nicely taken by Ngome Zulu. Finds the offload now to Grant Williams. Runs it sideways, but a good tackle made on him. Machunu receives the offload now deep into the pocket. Kicks it downfield. Nicely taken by Bristol. You'd have to say they won that territory game. Now they're looking to kick it back. It's gone high from Morahan. Not taken cleanly by Ngome Zulu, but Hudsonberg able to clean it up now for South Africa A. Just outside of their own 22 now, and they'll be looking to use this one to the left-hand side. Gives it off to Machunu. He's had a busy day. Bristol on the ball. They've got the turnover now on their 22, and now a good attacking opportunity. Ball on the outside. That was forward, but they're going to keep on going just for now. Ball off with the nice offload. 5 meters out from the line here for Bristol as they look to get over the line. Porter now going on the short side. It's going to be their skipper chucking himself at the line. In fact, that might have been one of the many burns in rugby. I was going to make a joke, but now it wouldn't work. I was going to say more burns than a 4G turf, but now that's a penalty to South. No, it's a penalty to Bristol. And also, you should go away, says Peter there. And also, we have got their shins up for the week, says Jad. And also, use it to hit tennis balls for the dogs. And also, hockey stick near or left in calf for surprise circumstances can be handy as well, says Nazi Williams. I guess so. And then if anyone asks you, just say I'm playing hockey later. Oh, they want to take the 3 here, Bristol. I thought for a second they were going to be considering going for the full 7 points available. But instead now it is still going to be the 3-point attempt at Hurley, a Celtic kiss. And also, where do you think Elton should go? England, South Africa, or France, maybe Australia, and he should go away, says Pieter there. I mean, if I had to choose anywhere for Elton Yankees, he didn't do too badly was it in France that he was playing, that he wasn't absolutely terrible? And at this point, anywhere but South Africa is where I'm going. Happy to be and stay in Cyprus, says Elton. That kick's gone over, so that's going to make the score 6-all. So this is actually very similar to what we saw between, was it Ireland and South Africa, how it could be a tryless first half and Ushamish can freestyle. And finally found a live stream lister under a French D2 game, says Gareth there. There you go. I guess a good option. There we go. Currently, Barbarians versus Harlequins has taken place as well, ladies and gentlemen. I should mention. Currently, they are streaming for 7,000 people, and it is currently 7-all between those two sides. So not too bad of a score at the moment in the Soccer World Cup opening match this Sunday. Says Richard, it is indeed. I'm not too sure how much of the FIFA World Cup we are covering on the channel or what channel it's actually going to be on. But whatever the answers are, we will hopefully be able to get them to you relatively soon. As I think it will only be the occasional game of the FIFA World Cup that we do end up covering, just because I probably have to do more hours of work, seeing as throughout the November internationals, I have probably only been doing about, anywhere between 10 and 20 a week, somewhere around there. But now that ball's going high, not taken cleanly by Bristol, and an awkward bounce goes right back into the 22. Now Porter gives it off to Morahan. It looks like he's going to be attacking the South African line straight away over the ball once again. Andre Hugo Fenter gives away the penalty. And it seems like South Africa are ruthless in the breakdown. They're always right there, but they're giving away a lot of penalties in the process as well, which is something you cannot afford to be doing. Wrong side of the breakdown, like they've said for that one. But 26 and a half minutes through at the moment in this contest, and it's interesting. The fact that it is still only sitting at 6 points to 6 between these two sides. Now they will be looking for the line out through here on the halfway line. The Bristol Bears once again going to be on attack. Now, Brian Byrne almost stolen. That's a knock on from Bristol again, and we're going back for another scrum and a double blow of the whistle. I know Gianni just likes blowing the whistle, I think. That's why it's going to be a double blow for that one. But currently 13 minutes left in this first half. Like I mentioned, still no one yet to get themselves a try. A very even matchup between these two sides for this Friday morning fixture. But later on in the day, ladies and gentlemen, we have got 3 videos coming out, I should mention. And also, if a game is broadcast on YouTube, are you able to show it? Are you allowed to show it as well? No, not necessarily. Sometimes the people who show it on YouTube either have a license to be able to show it, or they are showing it illegally. And then if you show something that's being shown illegally, you are also breaking the law by showing that, if that makes sense. Hello, this is Ian Foster. Hello, Ian. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are enjoying the job. And actually, hasn't there been a few cases of girls finding away perverts in Dunedin recently with hockey sticks? Maybe. I feel like it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because a hockey stick, in a way, it's a decent weapon on paper because it's got a decent amount of size to it. You can keep yourself relatively far away, and it's got an awkward hook that can really, get in there. I guess is the best way of describing it. Everyone's gone quiet. It's unnerving, says Finton in there. And how many minutes stoppage time so far, says Nazi Williams. Well, this game should be theoretically about 36 minutes through, and it is 28 minutes through. So I believe so far for stoppages, we have had around 8 minutes of stoppage in this first half. And you say we're starting a little bit late, so I'd say at least 6 minutes. We'll go down a little bit. That's still too long, though. Poor Yankees, his wife, put padlock on the fridge. No midnight snacks anymore, says Ruth. All gone and Grant Williams looking for this one. And the scrum, like they're saying, it's a stalemate at scrum time. Now Grant Williams tries to spin out of the tackle. Nice tackle made, I should say, by, I believe it would have been Jake Heenan. Now Hugo Fenter, 20 times 2, 40 meters out. Back in the pocket, Ngome Zulu. Nice take from Morahan. Takes the quick tap, and we'll kick it way downfield now. Looking for distance. It's taken nicely in mind by Ngome Zulu once again. Will be putting it in behind. And Lombard chasing after this one. Nicely taken by Callum Sheedy. Short ball there off to the side to Guy Porter. Almost gone through. Finds a nice offload for the Bristol Bears. South Africa straight off his feet. That's going to be an advantage, and the penalty goes against him. That was done from Andre Hugo Fenter. You're going to dive over the ball. At least try and make it look a little bit less obvious. And also what's going on with South Africa Rugby. They are not beating clubs. They should be hammering club teams, says Richard. I think it's just finding that chemistry, to be honest. It's taken a little bit longer than they expected. And I think a lot of people were optimistic that putting together a group of players who have talent straight away would mean that it does end up going well. And I think once you give them, it's similar to what we saw for the URC, you give them a few more weeks and then they will be very dangerous. But for now, it seems like the ill discipline of South Africa A is really costing them throughout this match. And Jerky Order Foster, the man, how's your young fella Sam going, G? And I also wouldn't give him my last Toblerone, says Fluffy there. Now line out throw for Bristol on the 22-meter line, almost stolen by Ruanokia. He's done it multiple times, extremely close to getting that turnover. And now Bristol going off to their left-hand side, still 22 meters out from the line. And Guy Porter, it is Will Porter, I should say. And back across, charging hard at the line now. South Africa A still defending hard. It looks like there might be a bit of an injury. Maybe Zulu, which is the last thing that they would have wanted to see heading into this contest. And that's the thing. Anyone who plays extremely well on the South Africa A side, there's a chance that we do see them make their way into the... Oh, that's a great ball on the inside. We'll come back to that statement because that is a brilliant try. For Ibatoya, he received the pass right near the wing, and Bristol will now take the lead over South Africa A. Yeah, an interesting one is whoever plays very well could get selected for the Springboks. Because for free, says Nate. And also we have got there how many blows to the end of Force Hockey Stick, says Nuzzy. And Hockey Stick has said hello as well. Welcome in, Hockey Stick. I feel like there's so many puns that I could say, but I will refrain from the South African dietitian likes small portions. At least she is staying healthy, says Gareth. Oh, there might be a foot in touch. And also we have director with no tactic and a coach with no direction. This end of year series is an eye-opener to what is wrong with our sport. Well, in our sport, all our sport. And also we have got there, they have an orange Toblerone. Says Fluffy. Was he in touch? I don't think he was. No, he was all right. And that is going to make the score with the conversion going over 13 points to the Bristol Bears and 6 to South Africa A now. So once again, we find the South African side trailing. And they did have that same situation up against Munster. They were able to fight back a little bit, but they need to make sure they're scoring before the end of this first half to really give them a good chance in this contest. And Richard, hello there. It's very strange that they are struggling against Club Hamish. You're becoming a legend of commentary box. Fabulous stuff, says Ruth there. And Ian Foster to now Hockey Stick, says Nate. Quite the transition, isn't it? Now, Paul inside of his own 22 will be looking to put up this box kick. His clearances have been good, always getting down to about 40 meters out from the line. That one he has to drive a little bit lower, still manages to find the touchline, about 45 meters out. Great kick from Porter. I feel like he has really been able to find his angles throughout those exits, and it really makes a difference because instead of the opposition attacking from anywhere between 30 and 22 meters out, they're attacking from 40 to 45. Which means they've got that much more time to go. But South Africa, or Hamish do South Africa A and South Africa main team not trained together, says Richard in there. Well, some of the players from South Africa A got snatched up or in this game were actually brought in from the Springboks. So the likes of Jason Jenkins, Ruanokia, I'm not too sure actually whether he was in the original Springbok side, but, you know, there's a few players who are right on the verge of being able to go through. You know, Thomas Detoy, another player who might get themselves the opportunity in the future now. Ngome Zulu puts it in behind. He is another player who's actually in the Springboks lineup, or in the Springboks squad, I should say. Grant Williams on the halfway line. Good hands from Henri Hugo Fente. Had to make sure that he caught that one, or else we would have been going down for about the 15th scrum of the game. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but we've still had quite a few. Cornell Hendricks, he's knocked it on, and we might actually see the 15th scrum by the end of this contest. It's going to be nicely taken by the try scorer, Ibatoye, and salmon-flavoured Toblerone will be interesting. It would be. Salmon-flavoured anything sweet would be interesting. That's going to be kicked in behind. Advantages over Hartzenberg. In fact, Ngome Zulu that time takes it nicely. Bristol trying to get the counter ruck. Doesn't quite work out for them. Now Springboks back into the pocket. Kick downfield. Johnny Lombard. Up the field, and it's going to be nicely taken now by Morahan. He's had a good game so far, the Bristol Bears fullback. Ball available once again. Thomas Detoy jumps all over him. He's going to be taken down. Gets that ball recycled. 5 minutes left in the half, and Bristol look to once again go to the sky. They make it even worse, though, Roof. I totally agree with you, says Richard. Nicely taken once again by Gianni Lompa. Both sides have been good under the high ball. It's actually been just catching the ball in regular play that has been the struggle for the two sides. Now it looks like Grant Williams had his hands on the ball, decided to take them off and roll the ball back a little bit further so that he can go for the box kick. Nicely taken by Sheedy. Goes back across to Moran. Charged down by Ruan Nokia. And now Moran, he does well to know that he was going to be under pressure. Now charges at the line. South Africa, jump all over him. But it's still available for Bristol just, I believe. Yes, it is. The ball is secure. Even though it looks like South Africa would get it right in there, they have just been able to keep this one in their feet. And also we have got especially salmon flavor Monica Belushiang on. There, Fluffy once again, another phase for South Africa. Just looking for the right opportunity to clear this one. Now the question is, was it taken back? And I think the answer is yes. Or at least it was close to taken back. Or no, they might be all right because Ruan Nokia hit his hands. And then from there, it did end up bouncing around. So, yeah, I think it is all right. Just popped to let you guys know the number 9 on the South Africa A team is an imposter. I repeat, he is an imposter. There's Grant Williams in there as well. Unless you guys are twins and just have the same name. That would be really interesting. I know we've seen that before in like the WWE back in the day with the Bella twins. They just swap in and out depending on who wanted to play. I wonder if there's ever been a sport where someone's had their twin brother actually play the sport for them because they didn't feel like playing. I want to say that that hasn't happened before, but you never know. And if it had happened, they probably wouldn't tell people, as I assume that would be illegal. And also, don't look good for South Africa in 2023 in France. Says Richard, although still a wee way away, still that's going to be not taken cleanly, just cleaned up there. Moran, 1 meter from the line. Ruan Nokia tries to get over the ball, and once again, great work from Bristol to be able to get that first initial clean out. Then allows them to have the ball just out from their own goal line. I'm going to try and build a couple phases to get into a better position to be able to kick this one downfield. Oh, that was a mistake. The knock on against the Bristol Bears and a scrum 5 meters out for South Africa. Hey, that is the opportunity that they needed. And now with 2 minutes left of the half, this is the ideal scenario for the South Africa A boys to try and get themselves their first try of the match. What we're going to quickly do is we're going to go like that. We're going to go back a little bit in the time because they are a tad ahead of us. There we go. We have actually got the time almost spot on now. And also neck and neck. Anything going to break out? Anyone going to break out and cross the try line, says Ruth. And yeah, that little mistake, all coming from that extra pressure of the charge down kick, you'd have to say, has put the Bristol Bears in a position they didn't want to be when they were looking pretty strong in that first half. This could close out the half with it being pretty much 13-all. So this is a successful attack and move. And also we have got all this talk about chocolate. This is getting my tummy rumbling, says Ian Foster there. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a few chocolates at some stage. Oh, that's gone down in the front row. Quick tap wanted to be taken by Grant Williams, but it wasn't a free kick is the only problem there. But now the Bristol Bears know exactly what he's planning to do if they do end up conceding that free kick. Be taking the quick tap going around the side. Is there going to be a rugby championship before the World Cup 2023? I believe so. I think we've got still Super Rugby, a rugby championship, and also a Six Nations, and then also all the other competitions such as the URC, Gallagher Premiership, Top 14. But international-wise, Six Nations Rugby Championship, both, I believe, taking place. And then we go into the World Cup. And Box A are more aggressive this time, says Simp Slayer. We can recommend a dietitian, says Gareth in there. Ball going in almost for Grant Williams. Oh, it's gone down in the front row. Penalty to South Africa. Grant Williams considered the quick tap, still considering it. Now, the question for South Africa A is, do you go for another scrum from this close, or do you go for the 3 points to get a little bit closer? They want the tap. This is classic South African style of rugby right here. This is throwing back the Dwayne Vermeulen days for the Bulls. Now we'll tap and throw himself at the line. Thomas the Toy, just short. Now that's going to be the 40 minutes at the moment in the contest, going off to the left-hand side. Wow, he's close. from Mako van Staren. Now, that player has to release for the Bristol Bears. I don't believe he did, though, but luckily for him, it didn't cost him the penalty, or else it could have been something looked at as cynical. Roanokia, ball short, Thomas the Toy, well shut down only, just though. Still brilliant defence from Bristol, but I feel like it's only a matter of time until we see this SA15 side breaking through the line. It's a mistake and a knock-on from Mako van Staden. And that will be the end of the half, ladies and gentlemen. That will be 13 points to 6 in favour of the in favour of the Bristol Bears, I should say. So what we will do is we'll go back there. We'll go like that. And we'll go like that. There we go. It is halftime in this contest. And that was a massive opportunity. But they haven't been able to find it. And they usually have some warm-up games before Rugby World Cup. Not sure if anyone or any are organised. In fact, I know of one. Twickenham, South Africa versus New Zealand before the Rugby World Cup. So that would make me think that the Rugby Championship wouldn't be taking place. But I believe it still is. And both of those sides, it's a risky game to do just before the World Cup because they're going to be throwing everything at each other throughout those fixtures. And also we have got the interesting things. It's that, and or is that, or if that's I in your name, sorry, I can't see, says Richard. And also South Africa have to gel. Are they playing erratically and haven't got game plan headless chickens at the moment, says Roof. And also Brady, 100 Test match, Scott Barrett at 6. Yeah, an interesting change that the All Blacks decided to make. Luxing. Okay, I've just been told that there is going to be some vacuuming during halftime. And also we have got a spammer in the chat. That's a new one for today. I've just realized I'm giving trucks and trailers a bit of free advertising down the bottom of there. But it is yellow and black, so we'll allow it, I guess. Also, Slap and Chips will result in a B&B at Mount Eden. And also come on the box 15 in there from Nate. And you can comment off all the Barbars for the next 10 minutes. Yeah, at the moment in that Barbarians game, it is sitting 14 points to 7 in favour of the Barbarians. So they're doing not too badly. I see that Joe Marchant is back at the Harlequins for this matchup, which is interesting enough. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for the Harlequins to really end up, I guess, bringing eyes to their channel. Because at the end of the day, it's huge to see that you can have 9,000 people watching a game of rugby on YouTube. All you got to do is have a license or a provider who's got the license, who's willing to allow people to watch. That's going to be a try now for the Harlequins. And through that roof, but come Rugby World Cup, the box will be back, says Peter. And also, did you watch the Rassie documentary? I have not at the stage. And also, Hoover Time says Fluffy. And also, we have got there, yes, Ireland have Italy and England in August 2023, says Richard. And also, we have them, mind if I join in, says Nick White. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing well. Still probably not a very popular man with a lot of South African supporters, but that's all right. They obviously, South African fans, of course, forget, don't they? They don't hold grudges. Same with New Zealand fans. People still think back to certain moments in games ages ago, don't they? It's just one of those ones when it's etched in your mind, seems to be just never really leaves it. I know a lot of Kiwis are traumatized from the ODI World Cup from 2019 and also the semi-final up against England in 2019, and also Hankies and Samoose. What a combination. Maybe India have a rugby team, says the roof there. Currently halftime in this game. 13 points to 6 in favour of the Bristol Bears. And the Quins update says, Nate, currently 12 points to 14 with a kick to come for the Harlequins, as they have just been able to score the try right near the end of the half, but they've still actually got another 8 minutes left in the matchup. But yeah, they are just about to take the kick. In fact, they missed the kick. So the score 14 points to 12. It's looking like a pretty good game. I'm going to have to go back and watch that one on YouTube at the end of this one. Hey, Nick White, I'm the better 9, says the real Grant Williams. I'm glad you had a real just because we weren't quite sure. But now that you got real, we have to believe you. And also, well done to the Bristol Bears. Good try, says Ruth. And yeah, the lone try of the half. It's interesting that we've only had just the singular try between two sides who are normally very attacking. Like you see in the Gallagher Premiership, a whole heap of tries scored for multiple of these sides. But just seems to be when they match up here. Seems like a little bit more of a test match feel. And let's go Quincy Amish, says Nate. And there as well. I should also mention we have got plenty more videos actually coming out today. We have got the All Blacks versus England one. Will be coming out in a few hours' time. Also alongside that, Samoa's lineup up against Romania. Also Samoa versus Australia, the Rugby League World Cup lineups. We have got that one coming out on the channel. And then from there, I think any other chance we get today, we have got editing so that we can get things, I guess, strategically planned and also laid out for upcoming live streams of the weekend. And HR said she'll be lucky to be alive after, says Nick White, on almost a third Quins try. Yeah, beautiful kicking behind, but now 5 meters out from the line, the Harlequins have got themselves the ball, and Rowan Nokia says Slayer. And then hasn't been keeping up with Prem Rugby. The Wasps still alive, or have they gone into administration? They have gone into administration alongside also Worcester are another team that are no longer going to be in the Premiership. So I'm not too sure what they're going to be doing in terms of whether they bring in more teams this year or whether it's just kind of like a rearranged competition for this season. And then from there, they'll try and work out what they're doing for the next one. But it is a shame that they are 2 teams short. But then you can also understand why they are 2 teams short, because at the end of the day, you can't really break the rules, unfortunately. Now just waiting for the second half to get underway. Just the one try scorer in that first half. It was the Bristol Bears winger. I'm going to quickly make sure that I say the name in the right order. I know that it starts with I, but it is Ibitoye is the name. And also our player's not buying Wasps. And there says Richard, not too sure at the moment. And where are the Henko van Vick fanboys, says Slayer. Yeah, I mean, he's been very quiet for South Africa, hasn't he? In that first game up against Munster and the second game, this game, up against the Bristol Bears, he really hasn't been able to fire the way that people expected. Yes, he plays very well in the URC, but that doesn't always translate. And it depends on who he's got with him as well, because at the end of the day, if you've got that chemistry going between you and another player in your midfield, it always means that both of you play your best rugby when you are together. You look at someone like a combination of Ma'anonu and Conrad Smith. Ma'anonu was always at his best when he had Conrad Smith on his outside. And I feel like Henko van Vick, maybe we're finding that it is maybe that man on the outside that does help him, or the man on the inside, I should say, does help him in the games of the URC. And also we have there Paul Wasps, there Fluffy, and also hey Nick, my man says Fluff the Clerk. And also we have got caught in a financial sting. And that's a B, says Gareth. And also odds should have organised midweek games also, like the Box in New Zealand, says Hanoi. And almost the third Quins try. And I should mention they have actually now scored their third try of the fixture. So it is sitting 19 points to 14 in favour of the Harlequins up against the Barbarians. At this point in time, they are talking about that extra physicality that we've seen. Of course, we should mention there was a yellow card in that first half. It was Jason Jenkins who got himself penalised. That looks suspiciously like a B. And Fuff HR warned me to stay away from you until after the World Cup, says Nick White there. Okay, a Bristol Bears player is saying that they gave away a couple of penalties, and that is how South Africa got their points. I should also mention that South Africa's discipline little bit lackluster in that first half. We saw the likes of Andre Higofenta just going over the breakdown, pretty much trying to get that miraculous turnover that just kept on costing them. I may go, everyone. Oh, I may go. Everyone, see you on Saturday, says Richard. We will see you later on, mate. And yeah, a lot of rugby coming up this weekend, that is for sure. And we will be covering a majority of it on the channel. I'll actually have a quick look and see what the schedule looks like for that Monday night, because I know that we are going to be covering, I believe, 4 games on Sunday morning, but I'm not too sure what the game is on Monday morning yet. I assume it would involve Argentina, maybe, or they might also be playing the Saturday, in fact. Have a quick look. Okay, so Wales play at the same time as South Africa, so we will be doing Italy versus South Africa for that one. Then we have got, we can't do Scotland, Argentina, because that is actually going to be overlapping with the Rugby League World Cup final that we are doing. So instead, I believe we are going to be doing France versus Japan on Monday. That is the only game on Monday night that we have got. That will be a 2 a.m. fixture. And then also on the Saturday or the Sunday, We have got England versus New Zealand alongside South Africa, Italy, and Ireland versus Australia. And then Box will smash Italy, says Randolph. I hope so, because the last 2 weeks, they have been not the best, the Springboks, unfortunately. They have really lacked, I guess, it sounds harsh, but they've lacked quality in their side. They just seem to be making those little mistakes like that they should easily be getting right, and it's been costing them matches, costing them opportunities to be able to score. And Box will poison Italy with slap chips, says Fluffy. And also we have got there come on Box. Triton says Rufin, who invented hockey. Brutal sport. It is indeed. Depends on whether or not you're talking about the ice hockey or the field hockey, though, as well. And English, says Sim Slayer. And also I thought Barbar's number 7 was Zach Mercer, same headgear, says Gareth. And there, currently, I will go back to see if, the Barbars have scored. It's actually a cross kick try, and it was Mike Brown who scored it. Now, that's interesting because he's actually up against his old side in the Harlequins. He used to play for them. Then he actually went to the Newcastle Falcons. Yeah, it's going to be weird for him to play up against his old side, but he's done very well. And also, I believe if the ABs beat England, win the World Cup unless France uses its home field advantage in each half time, says Johannes. Yeah, we must not be too far away from the second half getting back underway. Yeah, so many hours of rugby and rugby league. World Cup finals, let's go. Toa Samoa. The Kiwi lads got it covered, says Nate. And there's our voice by the end of the weekend once again will probably be non-existent, but it's going to be weird because we've gone from an extremely hectic weekend 2 weeks ago to a almost even more hectic weekend last weekend. And now this weekend, don't get me wrong, it's going to be hectic, but it's going to be hectic in a different way with those back-to-back-to-back fixtures. And then from there, next weekend, we've only got about 2 or 3 games, and then there's nothing. Other than, of course, the URC and whatnot's coming back, the Champions Cup going to be firing up, but nothing at international level on the channel. So it's going to feel weird. We're not going to have as many preparation videos to do. And I'm going to have too much free time. But that's good in a way because we've got a lot of videos planned for the Kiwi lads that we want to get out, sports related and also otherwise. And we haven't had much of an opportunity to be able to edit them, to upload them, to film them or anything along those lines, just with how hectic the international rugby scene has been. But as soon as that ends, it just pretty much means any time that I would have spent doing live streams, we're still going to be doing some live streams. But the other time that I get free, we'll go straight into making other videos on the channel because we've got a big one planned. And I've mentioned about this big one multiple times over the last couple months. We've almost got all the preparation done needed for it. It's going to take a long time to film. Like, we're not talking just like a few hours. We're talking multiple weeks of filming involved in it. I cannot wait, though. It's going to be an awesome video when it does finish. But that could take till about February before you guys get to see it, which is a bit of a tease, isn't it? Also, we have got the only thing that inspires and motivates the box is the ABs, or is playing the ABs, says Nazi Williams, and also French Barbarians playing Fiji on Saturday as well, says Gareth. That is true. A lot of rugby taking place this weekend, and also 100, says Nate, and also South Africa still one of the top sides in the world. Can even write them off, says Roof, and I can see Obislik and Asterix playing for the French Barbars. Says it was French, it was not French, it was Fluffy. Are you French by any chance, Fluffy? I do see you've got the New Zealand flag. Is there any part of you that is French? And also, I will write off the box. They lose against England, says Simp Slayer. I mean, I think also a lot of people will write them off if they lose to Italy, which should be unlikely. But Italy have played well. Like, they beat Samoa, and they also beat Australia. So they seem like they're really on the right track. Says Fluffy. And Italy getting a win over South Africa would be not just massive for Italy, but massive for South Africa for all the wrong reasons, pretty much, for the South African side of things. But now that they haven't got Rassi Erasmus, have they won a game since he's been back? Honest question. I don't think they have. I think since Rassi Erasmus joined back up with the Springboks squad, they have not successfully won a game. I think they've lost both of their games that he's been back. So maybe now that he's gone for this weekend, they're going to go back to their winning ways for the South Africans. Both sides making their way back out onto the field. That was a very long half time, I felt. Maybe about 10 minutes or so, which is about the stock standard, but it felt longer. So we were just sitting here waiting for that next half to get underway. In fact, no, Bristol aren't even out on the field, so we probably got another minute till we do get back underway. But anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Like I mentioned, we've got plenty more rugby coming up on the channel, also a bit of cricket coming in the near future. Alongside that, maybe a bit of FIFA World Cup and a whole heap of videos, random videos that you guys, I mean, I can guarantee you will not see anywhere else on YouTube with some of the ideas that we have got for the near future. But what I will quickly do is I will go like this. I know that if I didn't put this here, then George would be very annoyed. But anyone who hasn't already, be sure to check out the Kiwi Lads Entertainment channel. It is our channel with gaming and a whole heap of random videos across pretty much everywhere, really. We've got some weird stuff coming up on that channel as well. We blend a whole heap of random items soon. And I don't think it will go very well. I have that effect on people. See, it's fluffy there, but now the second half just about to get underway between these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. It should be an exciting second half. And the question is, when do these two sides use their benches? Looking through JJ Kutsia, going to be coming off the bench. Martin Zema, Mornay Smith, Daniel Duprea, Nochia, Buthelezi, Mohamba, and Hulson. Will you do public Mario Kart? Unfortunately, there's only 3 of us at the moment, maximum. So it might not be enough to be able to do anything with more than a few people. But if we had like a group of 8, that would actually be quite cool to be able to do. Although we did already blow the whole channel budget. That was my bad. I bought some camera equipment so that we can up the quality of some of the videos. And now, yeah, the channel's pretty much bankrupt. Best way of describing it. And Lounge Suit Larry says Fluffy there. And also Springboks A have more wins over the ABs. Good old box, thick history between us two nations, and never take the Italians for granted. Serious talent, one of the youngest teams in the autumn internationals. And you invite some people, says Gareth. We don't really know many people, though. We are from a small town, which does make it tricky. Because it's not as simple as getting on a WhatsApp group and saying, does anyone want to do this? It's more of the case of, like, you've actually got to really find people. Yeah, population of the town's like 4. No, that's a lie. It's about 4,000, somewhere around there. And bless you, Hamish, have a gin, an orange. Keep your eyes open and brain mellow. See, it's Ruth going to be taken nicely by South Africa A. And now they start to get the rolling maul going. Looking like Bristol defending it not too badly at the moment here. People from this channel from worldwide would join, says Gareth. Although the thing is, to get people from worldwide coming to our small town, for one, either we're going to have to pay for everyone's flight so that they would come here. And depending on where they're flying from, that could be like a $2,000 flight to be able to get people over to be able to join. And that's a cross kick and a half. Hasn't quite worked out. South Africa, panicking here a little bit. But it looks like now they've found a bit more structure. Lelian Zas kicking behind. And, it's at the shin. Great kick from Bristol. From South Africa A. And it actually means, I know they play online. That's why we internet. See, I thought you were talking about public Mario Kart rather than actual Mario Kart. So you're meaning like play it online, Gareth, rather than actually playing as in actually here. Ruben loves the best 15 in the world, says Hardcore Boxing. He's decent, don't get me wrong. He's still got a wee way to go, though, Ruben. Overall, but as soon as he gets there, I think we're going to see him in the All Blacks 15K. I hope that they don't do the same thing up against, or the same thing as what they did to Stephen Petafeta, though, and kidnap him, says Fluffy. And also, why kidnap when you can internet? That's going to be the penalty now to South Africa A. So the second half hasn't started too well for the Bristol Bear boys at this point in time. We're going to have to quickly update our scoreboard because I forgot to click the button to start it. There we go. Now it's all good. South Africa will be able to kick this one for touch. So they need to make sure that they get the most of these early opportunities that Bristol are gifting them. That kick hasn't found touch. And what did I just say? It's going to be, no, he can't take the mark. Or can he? Ngume Zulu. Moran put the hand up. Ngume Zulu. The only thing you complain about is not knowing the rule for Ngume Zulu there. A little bit of inexperience from the youngster. And although if you kidnap them from Rangiora, no one would notice. Look up an Irish YouTuber called Nogla Mario Kart as well. Should get you some good views. That would be dahi to Nogla, wouldn't it? The good old Vanos gaming days. And also, Boks will always produce big forwards, but they are too reliant on power game. Sides will match up front or match them up front and then beat them in the backs. Can't really remember too many great Bok outside halves, says Saturday player. Because at the moment, I mean, Cheslin Colby, he's just returned. And I know that when he has a good game, he has a brilliant game, but he hasn't really had that yet, has he? For them. And also, Australia lost against Italy is because of poor discipline in defence. Australia conceded 14 penalties on average this season. I mean, look at the All Blacks. We're conceding around that 15 mark, aren't we? Throughout the games, like we almost threw away that game up against Scotland just with repeated infringements. Johan Husson now out on the field. That is for Gianni Lombard. It's been taken off. But yeah, discipline, it's one of those ones that, you know, it's a part of the game. You got to make sure your discipline's good, or else then you will give away extra points and you will end up putting yourselves in tricky situations. The ball's been fed in by the Bristol Bears there by Will Porter. Now, looks like they will be going away to the left-hand side. Nice push there. No, instead they go right and look for the kicker behind. Close to the touchline, but it is going to be taken inside of the 22 now. Johan Husson with his first kick of the day. And it's going to be going just outside of the 22 with the Bristol Bears. Now kick downfield, a torpedo kick. Oh, it isn't taken cleanly. That's a great one for the Bristol Bears. Now Johan Husson has to clean up. Does look for the angle. Kick it downfield into touch. Hasn't been able to find that. And at the moment, the Bristol Bears, they've been winning the territory kicking battle. Now nice work in the midfield from Ibatoye. Ball on the outside. Breaking nicely. Here comes the big Bristol Bear lock. Moving up to only about 35 metres out from the line now for the Bristol Bears. Good morning, lads. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. I don't want to pay a fiver to watch the bloody Bears. So you're my eyes and ears here, says Paul. And there's yeah, I don't actually know what the exchange rate is, but I know that I paid £5 to be able to watch this game. It's going to go wide. Little mistake there from Bristol, although they've said that it wasn't actually off the hands. So it will be play on. Just for now, back across to the left-hand side. Good attack and play from the South African defence, which sounds like a weird statement, but good rush defence, I should say, rather than attack and play now out the back line. Using their forwards well. Heinrich Lowe, the man who has been tackled there. I wasn't sure if his head was the ball or not, pretty much because he had that headgear. Looked very similar to the colour of it. Now the ball's available on the halfway line. South Africa get themselves the turnover. Chisholm game was head over heels last week, says Gareth. And also, Favre's also a great South African player. Watch out for him against Italy. He's going to be on fire, says Roof. And also, we have got their Henko scrum cap ain't giving him that mojo, says Sim Slayer. And I'm great. Thanks. How are you, says Ollie? I'm doing pretty well. It's a nice early morning start for us here in New Zealand for this contest. We're currently 46 minutes through. And it's quite a close game. That kick's going right towards the 22 for SAA. And now, seems like they've ramped up for the second half. Seems like they've come to play. They're giving away a lot less penalties, but they're winning a lot more penalties as well. So Andre Hugo Fenta now about to go for the line-out throw. Both Hamish Ice and normal. It's normal. Or it's not for sissies or the weak-hearted. And there says Ruth. Nicely taken by Ruan Nokia. Ball available at the back for South Africa A as they look for this rolling maul. Nokia looks like he's trying to G on those big forwards. Fenta at the back, the ball in hand. Though I don't think we'll be too far off JJ Kutsia making his way out onto the field if Fenta does give away a few more penalties. Now numbers on the outside. Ngume Zulu tries to cut up the middle of the park. Grant Williams now short ball. Off into the hands of Heinrich Lowe. Great tackle made on him. Grant Williams, another short ball. Here comes Machunu. He goes straight through. And it's the try for South Africa. Hey, and the big man running a line that would make him extremely hard to stop. And I hope South Africa pull it through, says Nelson. And right on cue, they've been able to score themselves the try. Machunu, that was quick. It certainly was. Got some pace for a loose air prop there. Machunu looking angry, even though he scored the try. He was happy for half a second, then he slapped the ground and remembered that they are still not completely out of the woods in this contest. And also, yeah, I should mention that as Mitsusuka Machunu, who did score it. There are the two Machunu brothers. And I was like, let's go to the box 15 try. Says Nate, but yeah, nice short pass from Grant Williams. He saw that the gap was opening up. And Machunu has done very well to be able to score that try. Still plenty of time left on the clock as well, I should mention. So either of these sides have got the opportunity to still go on and win the game. A kicking opportunity for Sasha Umezulu. Taking some deep breaths for this one. And he's missed. So that is going to make the score 13 points to 11. Still in favour of the Bristol Bears, but they're going to have to try and change something here very soon. Because currently, we are seeing a lot of the momentum going in favour of South Africa A. And cheers, Box, let's go big time. And is this as entertaining as the Munster game? I would say it has the potential to be. But for now, I'd say that Munster in their game still has that edge. Because the first half was a lot more competitive. Or a lot more, I guess you could say, eventful than the first half of this game. It's going to be put back into the pocket. Williams. Oh, Zulu almost has that one charge down close to the touchline. Nicely taken by Moran. Tried to go through a gap that then didn't exist anymore. The ball is available for South Africa. And this time it is actually going to be Digo Bailey. Tell you what, that's a name we haven't said too often throughout this matchup. Max Laheath also having the carry, and Fenberg missed because he didn't want to hurt his English papa. Says it was some Slayer there. Interesting. I think there's a little bit of an extra something going on out there. And also, how many internationals is Bristol missing? So they are missing Stephen Luatua, Charles Piatau. Also, who's the other player that I mentioned earlier on, who I've now forgotten? Stephen Luatua, Charles Piatau. We had a third, and now I can't remember who it actually was. Luatua, Piatau. Oh, Semi Radradra, but I think he's injured, so he would have been missing anyway. And also back to the yawning mate, stay strong, coffee and an ale, says Nelson. And also Retalix 100th game this week. A legend just saying, says Nazi Williams. And yeah, that video that we are doing on the England versus All Blacks lineup, that is coming out a little bit later on in the day on the channel. That kick from Sheedy has gone over. That is now going to give Bristol the lead. I should mention they got themselves the penalty and the breakdown, the prop. Says Nazi Williams. I think you might be thinking of Alice Genge. Maybe. Was it Alice Genge you're thinking of? He went to Bristol, didn't he? From the Leicester Tigers. So I guess he is another option. And Sinclair as well. So yeah, they're missing about 5 of their regular internationals they would have loved to have for this game. But still playing pretty well up against this SAA side. It's sitting 16 points to 11. They're showing Pat Lamb there. And also we have got there Randall, another player who is missing, says Jay Ward. And let's go to the box 15. Here's Nate, ball available now for Bristol. We're going to go to the left-hand side. That one's gone into touch. Decent clearance once again from Bristol, and that will be now on the halfway line. South Africa will have themselves a line-out throw. It sounds like subs are being made. I see the reinforcements. It's going to be Noche, Machunu, and also Duprea. The 3 changes that SA 15 are having. Sorry, it was Afoa. And this is Nazi Williams. Geez, that's a throwback name, isn't it? John Afoa. How long's it been since we've seen him on New Zealand soil? It's got to be at least almost a decade, doesn't it? He's been playing well in the Premiership in recent time, and also the Bok. And there says not everyday cultist, but yeah, 3 players going off field. Andrik Low, Maka van Staden, and then also I would assume it was maybe Jason Jenkins. Yes, it was. The other change that they made, that wasn't straight. And they're not happy with that one, but it is a not straight line out. Was that Andre Hugo Fenton? No, in fact, that was JJ Kutsa, his first line-out throw of the day. And now the Bristol Bears will have themselves a scrum. I should mention in the Harlequins versus Barbarians game, it is just about getting back underway, ladies and gentlemen, and it is currently a very high-scoring close game between the two sides. I see that they have still got around 10,000 people watching live. And like I mentioned, if it isn't an indication for international games or any type of league games or anything to be shown on YouTube, I don't know what would be. And Heineken Champions Cup is 3 weeks away in its new format, including South Africa teams. How far you think the South African teams will go? It's a shame in a way. Not the fact that the South African teams are in it, but the fact that the Sharks have to play the Harlequins in the first round, in the second round, or the third, or whatever it is that it is going to be taking place. Like, that is a shame, because I wanted to see those two sides both go through, but it seems like maybe they'll cancel each other out. That's a great kick from the Bristol Bears, and it's going to be a 50-22 now. Hudson-Berg wants to take the quick line-out throw, but he didn't realize that it was actually a 50-22, and so the Bears missing 7 internationals, says Jay Ward. So, yeah, quite a few to be missing for this contest. And Batlam has done a great job at Connacht before you fly to the Bears for a better paycheck, says Boy Howard. And also the South Africa A are playing like the Wallabies without me, of course. There's Nick White. Now 5-metre scrum here for the Bristol Bears. This is a great attacking opportunity for them. Looks like the time has been turned off once again. Well, this one, a couple more changes being made. This time for Bristol. Was that Brian Byrne? That's a risky time to take him off the field, right when they have got themselves a line out. Throws it in. Nicely taken by the Bristol Bears, but good defense from South Africa, driving them towards the touchline. They've done extremely well, though, the Bears, to be able to keep that one inside of the field of play. Close to a turnover there for Sasha Ngume. Zulu didn't quite get it in the end. Still available for the home side at Ashton Gate now. Only sitting a few metres out from the line. Flat pass across, straight into the hands of Piers O'Connor. More pass. Good low tackle made by JJ Kutsa and Nate Gillan's Rock. ACDC's Thunderstruck. Come on. Or Bok, go, come on. Says the roof there. Bristol. A few phases still straight out in front of the posts. Looking to slowly and methodically build their way over. Hell yeah. Turn it up, Ruth, says Nate. Oh, that was close to a turnover. In fact, that's very close to the turnover. No, but he was slightly in the side, I believe. They did decide now. A big bump off from Bradbury. Seems like they're only half an inch from being able to get themselves that line break there after Max Laheath gets a little bit closer again. Still available for Bristol. Now, they don't have the phase play coming up on the screen, but I assume they would be up to about maybe 12 phases at the moment for Bristol, since winning that line out not too long ago off their own 50-22. Another good tackle made by Jajia Kutsa, and the stick needs to fix his team. Says it was not everyday cultures, and also it's a long way for the Bok if they want a Bristol chop. Says Fluffy close to the line. It's stripped away by South Africa A, though. And brilliant work, not share. Ends up with the ball at the end of it. And now South Africa have got the chance to be able to clear their lines. Short ball to Machunu. Now roll back for Grant Williams. Like they're saying they would get him through the phases, and then just ended up making that little mistake, the handling error. In a similar position on the field to what Mako van Staden had last time. Now a great attack and run from Ibatoye. After the 22, still another chance for Bristol to be able to extend their lead from more than 5. Thought about passing it out wide. Instead, just takes the contact there. Hawkins on the ball now for South Africa. That is not supporting the body rate or body weight, I should say. Now the quick hands. Piers O'Connor cuts back. Good tackle made by Cornell Hendricks. Every breakdown, South Africa looking to try and get that turnover. Big shot there from Machunu. So maybe a little bit of an injury for South Africa. No, they will be all right. Beautiful pass now, Bradbury. In fact, no, it's a little slip. And Moran almost goes through him and the defensive line. Ended up having a bit of a slip and slide. Someone put the dishwashing detergent out there on the park. Now Ibatoye around the side. 5 metres out for Bristol Bears. Once again, they find themselves going phase after pay. Now Ngume Zulu consider going for the turnover. Once again, close to the line round the side for Bristol. Is he over the line? No, they're going to say he is just short now once again. They are within the metre of the line here, Bristol, and they can smell blood. They want to go over for another try. Close. It just, they get right there. That's close, and that is over that time for the try for Bristol. And if Bristol score now, I reckon it's game over. I believe Bok tactics aren't working. Teams know how to beat us up or beat us, especially if they have good players. And Barbar's in again, says Gareth. Yeah, 28 points to 19 at the moment in the Barbarians game up against the Harlequins. And also we have got the South Africa European Tour. Seems it's coached by Chevy Chase, says Gareth there. And also Al Yetin it up. And also Thomas beats Thomas the Toy. Says, at number 1, Jan Thomas gets himself that try. And let's check it out. South Africa move the ball. There's Roof. Yeah, we've hardly seen a backline movement from SA15 here, which is concerning. Because when you've got all that talent in your backline, you've got Ngome Zulu, Lillian Zas, Cornel Hendricks, Hinko van Veek, Hudson Berg, and also Lombard was out there, but now it is Johan Husson. Seems like a lot of talent to be wasting, not using. But now at the moment, seems like Jan Thomas trying to fire up the crowd as he's making his way off the field after being able to score the try. And he's certainly done just that. The crowd are now ecstatic and electric, and that kick has gone over. So that is now going to make the score 23 points to 11 in favour of the Bristol Bears. And also South Africa 15 laid bare. Bristol claw back and other puns, says Gareth. And we need to play out wide, back ourselves in the back line and try some moves, says Not Everyday Cultist. Yeah, and just the hitting it up game, you have to say South Africa, yes, they've done all right. They've got themselves that one try, but just doesn't seem like it's going to be enough at this stage. You know, you've got 12 points difference between the two sides with 21 minutes left on the clock. South Africa A need to start trying to mix it up, try and get a bit more attacking, see if they can get back into this contest. And barely breathing, says Fluffy in there. That is another good pun. Bristol. And have this one as the box kick opportunity for Will Porter. We'll roll it back. He's had a very good game. It's shameful. And when we have South Africa forget that rugby is a 15-man game, I think that's a missing factor in this tour. Or is Rassie playing in a game or playing a game, says Nelson. I mean, if he is, I don't know whether or not his suspension from the next 2 games was actually part of it in terms of the game plan. Because, yeah, he's not allowed at the Italy game and he's not allowed at the English game now, unfortunately for him. And this is shocking, actually, said Not Everyday Cultist. Yeah, this would make it 4 games played by South Africa A in the Springboks in this Northern Hemisphere tour and 4 losses for them. And I know some people are saying that it's tactical, but at the end of the day, if you've told 23 players each and every week to go out there and play as badly as they have, like, it's a weird scenario, isn't it? And Stick is going to get heat today if he loses this match, says Simp. But also try time Bok Liquor one, says Roof. That is going to be another little mistake, but it is going back for the initial advantage in favour of the South Africans. Okay, Lillian Zas puts his hand up and apologises. Collapsing number 19 for the Bristol Bears. So they will be able to kick this one for the corner now, South Africa A, if they want to. Which I believe that is going to be their plan here. One's gone into touch. And true, check the points. And Old Rugby say it again for the Bok. Or Old Rugby saying, say it again for the Bok. There's Nelson there. 12 points difference. But they're only 10 metres out from the line. And also we get a full game uncensored. That's an interesting way of wording it. On my channel, says Aiden. And there's an interesting plug. And now it's going to be off the back. The Bristol Bears going to have this ball back after a mistake in the line out. And also what's the odds now? They didn't actually have the odds for New Zealand, but I believe it was 1-4 in favour of the South Africans to be able to win this game. And also Simon Rodaro playing. He is not for this contest. So they are missing 7 international players in their lineup. And come on, lads, there's not everyday culture. So once again, they will have that penalty about 25 metres out from the line. And they're kicking it dead. Another mistake from South Africa. I wonder who's going to replace the whole box coaching team if we do really bad, says Simp Slayer. It's a good question. Because I know that normally the first thing that happens when South Africa have a bad run is, or if any team has a bad run, to be fair, is pretty much sack the coach is the first thing everyone wants to see. But the thing is, it's a really tricky one at the moment because is it the coach that is going with the wrong tactics or is it just the players who aren't gelling out there on the field? The South Africa A side I have not played together much. Bristol Bears is a very talented side. The goal for this game is to give the players more experience, so I'm not really surprised with the scoreline, says Francois there. And also we have the where are the Sasha fanboys now, says some Slayer. And also Kicker needs to step up and convert those tries into penalty points. Yikes, says Roof. And yeah, just blowing that opportunity to kick it into the corner as well from Ngume Zulu is certainly a big mistake. And Fozzie for South Africa coach, says Fluffy. He may be looking at a job at the end of 2023. Although I don't think South Africa will want him, to be fair. Okay, it's a free kick now for the Bristol Bears. Once again, a little bit of pre-engaging from the box 15. That was actually Martin Zima giving away that one. Now the ball's gone high. Nicely taken there. Oh, the ball's being dropped. Now advantage, and here comes Nutshia. Getting close. Tries to throw it on the inside to Lely and Zas. Now it's a knock-on. First knock-on advantage was over. The Bristol Bears now have this one on their 22. Another scrum feed. Looks like the Harlequins having some decent luck in their game. Their game up against the Harlequins, though, is looking like it's going to be an absolutely incredible one. It's currently 28 points to 26. Okay, they're just talking about all the internationals. Chris Villiradradra, Genge, Sinclair, Luatua, Pietau, Randall, a lot of players missing, but just shows that this Bristol Bears side, even though they did have a slightly rough start to the premiership season, or in fact, that might have been last year that I'm thinking of, that they had quite a rough start. And to be fair, not the best finish either, but they're looking strong. And I believe it's the tactics and management. Management always tells their opponents, how are we going to play, which players we're going to use days before the match. They don't try and be mysterious, says some Slayer there. Yeah, I've always wondered about that tactic of announcing the side so early. And I don't know why South Africa do it, whereas every other side announce it 2 days before the matchup. Some sides even later than that, a day and a half or so. But South Africa are always content on announcing their side on the Tuesday, or in fact, it's the Monday night. No, it is, sorry, the Tuesday night here in New Zealand, a whole about 5 days before the game is being played. And it used to be the case, I think, of South Africa saying, we can announce our side anytime you want, or we want, and you're still not going to beat us. But now it's the case of, we'll announce our side early. The opposition have 5 days to work out tactically what they're going to do to break down the Springboks. And they do that. And it's a tricky one, because at what stage do you decide maybe announcing it so early isn't a good idea, and instead we should only give oppositions 2 days to study us rather than 5, because extra 3 whole days is a long time. And teams will actually base what the Springboks select on their selection. You know, if you see a certain player for the Springboks is playing that you didn't think would be in the lineup, and you know that one of your players matches up very well with them, you're going to put them in the lineup. That's going to be actually a penalty in favour of the Bristol Bears. Johan Husson, a bit of obstruction there. And also game over that was our best chance in some play. I reckon a woman can do the job, or Skalkberger, says a Roof. Right, this will be a kicking opportunity for the Bristol Bears. They want to convert this one, try and make it a 15-point lead if they can end up getting it right. And also we have, is there any other well-known South Africa coaches? Can't think of a head coach, says Gareth. Because I know that South Africa pride themselves on having South African management, because it is one of those ones that we do hear it quite a bit with the side in terms of they are 100% born and bred South African. So I don't think they'll go with a coach from overseas just because they would rather say, like, this is our coach. He was born in South Africa. He was raised in South Africa. He is South African, and he's won us a World Cup. As depressing, says Nelson, that kick has gone over. So that is now going to make the score just a little bit more in favour of the Bristol Bears. That's 26 points to 11, a similar scoreline to what we saw in the Munster game. Although last time in the matchup when we saw it take place between Munster and South Africa A, we did see a bit of a late comeback from SA15, and also Nikki Meyer said not everyday cultists, and also Otis Jake White coach. Was he at the Bulls or was he at the Sharks? One of those two sides, I think. Now, 13 minutes left on the clock. This game is flying by. South Africa is still trying to find their way back. And Jake White coached the Boks in 2007. Currently coaches the Vodacom Bulls. Season not everyday coaches, and also only Souls De Bruyne is a good mention. Also, Jake White, if he wins trophies this season like the URC and a Heineken Champions Cup, says Simp Slayer, and Jake White coaches the Blue Bulls, says Simp. Yeah, but now line out throw for South Africa. They are only about 25 meters out. Isn't Jake White Bulls coach? He is indeed by the sounds of it. I know he was one of the two of the Sharks or the Bulls. Who's the Sharks head coach? Ladies and gentlemen, do let me know. Rolling ball. JJ Kutsia holding on to it at the back, gives it off to Nohamba. Now short ball from Cornell Hendricks. Great step from the big man, Noche. Nohamba once again. And once again, it seems like South Africa are leaving it too late to go with their really big attacks, but they'll certainly be heavy underdogs heading into the later stages of this contest. Now Nohamba gives it off to Matanzima. Best attacking chance, I would say, of the half here for SA 15. Straight over the ball, leave it blue as the comment. Nohamba now passes back across. Now Pepsi Buthelezi driven backwards by Fitzharding. Nohamba, good hands from Jean-Luc Dupré. Bristol off their feet, giving away the penalty, and also Nokia pronounced in there. As well says it was Randolph, and also we have got there Sean Everett as the Sharks head coach. And there's our now nice run. Oh, just a little bit short of line. Henko Van Veek now around the side. No, they are actually going to be going back. I said there was a knock on in the breakdown. I actually think Rassi is just getting in the way. He's not the coach, Jacques Neighbour. Or even though I say his name wrong, don't I? Neighbour. I think I still said it wrong. As the coach, should be given the opportunity he deserves, says Francois there. And I guess there's the thing, as much as people do like to, I guess, say that Jacques shouldn't have the job, like during his reign as head coach, like they didn't have a terrible record. Yes, they lost a few games, but so did a majority of international sides. And I think it's not so much because of the coaching, but more down to the fact that that gap between Northern and Southern Hemisphere has just got a little bit closer. And I feel like the Southern Hemisphere has taken a little bit longer to get used to that statement. And so I can give John Dobson a go for South Africa head coach. So he's not everyday cultist. Although the big thing is, do you change it this close to a World Cup? Because I know that that's the situation that New Zealand find themselves in. They don't want to sack Foster just before the Rugby World Cup, just because there's not enough time for a new coach get all of his tactics and his structure and everything into the game. And he's done an Eddie getting attention to distract from team's bad performance, says Gareth. And also we have got the hilarious Blue Bulls, a great club team, says Roof. And also we have got there Rant Wood, have been a great coach. And also we have got there, what about Nas Botha? I bet he will never miss a kick with old Nas being coach, says Francois. And the gap is closing between the North and the South. It certainly is. And it's one that has closed in a hurry. I think that's why some teams in the Southern Hemisphere, not all, but some do feel that, like, that's the thing. Some of the teams aren't playing bad because it's the players. They're playing bad because the opposition are just putting them under immense pressure. Watch this from Montenegro. Go the Bears, says Jay Ward in there. Yeah, welcome in. It must be a European time zone for that one, I believe, Jay Ward, if I'm not wrong. So you must be sitting around 9:09 p.m., somewhere close to there. But currently there is a lot of cheering going on from the crowd. Currently, I see why. There's a Mexican wave going around. And carried off the field by the physios here. And also someone didn't tell the USA about Northern Hemisphere improvement, says Gareth. That's harsh, isn't it? But, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see who gets that last spot in the Rugby World Cup. I know that it's between Kenya. Well, it's not really between Kenya now. It's kind of between the USA and Portugal, it seems. The two sides who have got a decent chance. And as an England fan, there was a scary-looking AB's team that's been selected, says Corporal Jones. And we've got a video coming out in about 2 hours' time, I believe, on the channel, actually going through the lineups for both sides. And, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how the two sides match up. I was at the Scotland game. Havili and Anton Leonard-Brown were absolutely abysmal, says Hardcore Boxing. Yeah, certainly not our midfield combination going forward. I wouldn't think in Portugal, says Gareth. And that's brought another South African legend, brilliant. We called him Nasty Booter. He was lethal, says Ruth. Currently, South Africa, they have got themselves a 5-metre scrum here. Or about 10 metres out, we'll say. But by the time that this one ends, you'd like to think they'd drive it towards that 5-metre line. No one's really had too many advantages at scrum time, which I feel like I'm about to jinx. Here we go. It's a penalty to Bristol. Wow. The Bears at scrum time have been a lot better than South Africa A. And I believe, once again, the South African A side, I think that was for illegal wheeling. Just angling in. Okay, they are just asking the question, what is it that the Bears have done on the commentary? So I believe it was to do with the angle of the front row. You can hear the Bristol fans chanting. Currently, 60 minutes through the Harlequins versus Barbarians game, and it is a certainly high-scoring contest between those two sides. Currently sitting at 33 points to 28 in favour of the Quins. Terrible game for South Africa A. Shocking, no excuses. There's not everyday coaches. I'm sure there'll be some sort of excuses, though, for this game. I don't think it's raining either, which is one of those ones that makes all the handling errors from both sides that much more surprising. And Retallic milestone respect for this man, tough as biltong. See, here's the roof there. Yeah, he's going to be back for his Hundy. We'll be looking to put in a big performance. Scott Barrett at 6 is an interesting choice from the ABs. They did try it throughout the Rugby Championship. I blame the management, says Randolph there. Yeah, those handling errors certainly haven't helped for either side, like I mentioned. I think they've probably almost had at least 5, maybe even 10 handling errors for both of these teams, but currently only 8.5 minutes left on the clock now. So the line out about to take place for South Africa A. JJ Kutsia about to throw it in. His first line out of the day was not ideal. Can this one be a bit better? Yes, it is. Straight into the hands of Ruan Nokia. Now knock on again. It's just mistake after mistake from the Springboks A. It was at that time who did end up dropping that ball. I recognise him, but I can't think of who it is. Nice ball on the outside from the Bristol Bears, who have also knocked the ball on. It's just a seesaw. It's another drop ball from Cornell Hendricks. Someone put something on the ball before the game or something. Everyone is just putting it down. Box A and main box have the same problem. They struggle to score tries, and box kicker needs some new boots. Doc Martins, says the roof. Now scrum feed, I believe, is going to be South Africa's. 7.5 minutes left on the clock. They're only finding themselves 15 metres out from their line, so they've got a long way to go before they get to that try line. Yeah, currently 15 points difference between these two sides, which is something that South Africa definitely will be disappointed with. 8 minutes left. Geez, yeah, it's flying by for the final moments of this contest. Humber about to feed the ball in. Now, someone who did have a decent game, I would say, was Grant Williams. He didn't play too badly at all with his option. Jay Ward, Bristol doing great, mate. Leading, says Roof. That will now be the penalty to South Africa A. And South Africa have always been like this. We peak on the World Cup final, win, celebrate, and then absolutely plummet down the world rankings. We're not consistent. So he's not everyday contest. And also we have got, have you moved to Oz, which would be called Stroof, says Gareth. Interesting take. Now up to the halfway line. South Africa A with the line out through here. Once again, it will be JJ Kutsia trying to throw it in. Now the rolling ball has slowly become more effective for South Africa throughout the matches, or as the matches progressed. I have been slouching badly throughout this live stream, stolen by the Bristol Bears. Oh, he's stolen. Oh, but he's dropped it. Unfortunately, Johan Horsen, he intercepted. That was a good part. But then from there, just puts the ball straight back down. The ball's too slippery. We need to get some bloody grip on the ball for both of these sides. But now, it is going to be scrum feed for Bristol, about 30 metres out from the line now. Not a lot of time left on the clock. So by the time Bristol have the scrum, maybe have a few extra attacks, I think it will end up being relatively close to the end of this fixture. And we do Barbar's remaining game after this, says Gareth. I believe they'll only have about 10 minutes left, but I can actually give you guys a link to be able to watch that game live. Rather than hearing me talk about it, you will be able to actually see it on YouTube. It's being shown on the Harlequins YouTube channel. If you're hysterical, can't stop laughing. And Aussie because Sheila. Hamish rocks. This rugby A says Ruth. That's going to be another scrum reset. Uses up a bit more time. And both sides have to try and do their loops, get themselves back psyched up, ready to go. No stability from both sides. Comment from the Italian referee for every South Africa and South Africa A game. All the polls show 70% to 80% more in favour of a box win. Really, a lot of people are seriously overestimating the box. They're not really as good as some think. Says Brian there. And Dion David and Stick have subpar coaching records. They used to coach the Kings during the Super Rugby and the Pro 14. They had a 90% losing record. Questionable how they got the bot call up, says Sip. And also I'm watching it live at the moment. And yeah, it's certainly a good game between the Harlequins and the Barbarians. Even when I've been watching out of the corner of my eye, I would say that that's probably the pick of the games taking place at the moment in terms of the action. I don't think there's been 50 handling errors in their game either. It's kicked downfield. Great kick from South Africa A. Now 76 minutes through. Now this is where South Africa score themselves one or two tries at the end. And then that makes the scoreline look respectable. But anyone who watched the first 76 minutes of the game knows that South Africa A have been below par throughout this week. So just hope. I wish my poor Namibia can just win one game in the World Cup since 1999. Geez, that's a wee while. That's actually the year I was born. Once again overthrown, but it's a knock-on. Bristol Bears just threw that ball straight into the hands of South Africa. That was a bit weird. Nohamba short ball. Gives it off to Nochia. Good attack and play. Nohamba once again goes off to Iwobi Duprea. The advantage for the knock-on is over. Nohamba has a lot of pressure on him. It's another knock-on from South Africa. And let's hope this game against Zuri, the Italian Springboks, can get the W, although it's Italy on form, says Nate. Are they playing with a bar of soap or a rugby ball, says X. It's a great question because we have seen so many handling errors in this game. It's as if, you know, how the teams normally have that spray that makes your hands grippy, or that little bit of gel that they go like that beforehand to try and make it so that the ball doesn't slip out of their hands. It's as if someone replaced all of the gel inside of that bottle and just put some lube in there. And then now everyone's hands just as slippery as as slippery as anything, really. And time is back on. They had time off for half a second, so I should change my clock. There we go. We are back, and also we have got their hot girl picks for me. For me, Sex Fine Biz, too generous, my friend. You get blocked. Do not click their links, ladies and gentlemen, unless you like viruses, which I assume is nothing less than what you'll get from the girls that they are advertising as well. That too harsh? Sounds harsh, doesn't it? Bristol Bears now with the scrum. Randolph Bon Jovi. Song Slippery When Wet, says Roof. I'll put that 500 down. Hopefully they didn't. Unless, of course, there's one more try for Bristol, then they could have made a bit of money. Now they won't because South Africa have just scored. It's not ideal for the Bristol Bears. Just a little mistake off the back of the scrum. South Africa run back to the halfway line. Like I mentioned, they'll score a couple times here, make the scoreline respectable, but it's still not ideal. And I was like, keep it lad, are you doing a liquor job? Keep it up and thank you, says Francois. I've been with my husband longer than you've been alive, Hamish. Only just I'm feeling kind of old, says Nov Mum. Although, to be fair, to an extent, I don't think I'm too old, you know. I'm old enough to grow a mustache, but not old enough to grow a beard. Even though I should be able to grow a beard, but it just don't happen at the moment. And don't think the Box will lose against Italy. I'm worried about that England game. It's a telling match, says Simp. And also we have got there, and the chat, don't install an ad blocker. I did. And now the hot singles in my area don't want to meet me anymore, says Chad. Yeah, it's as if they all just disappear when that ad blocker goes on, isn't it? Now 1 minute left. South Africa, they are yet to actually give them the points on the board for that one, but I've given them the points. I believe it is 16 They might have got that kick over as well. So we're going to give them an extra 2 points just because it looks a bit better on the scoreboard, doesn't it? Inside of their own 22. South Africa, hey, this is new. They're using the back line. Is that too harsh too? Probably. But it is nice to see them hitting the ball up. Now the ball was loose. Bristol able to jump on it. No, they say it was a little knock on. 30 seconds left on the clock now between the two sides. And then from there will be the end of the fixture. Barbarians are actually having quite a few tries scored against them late in this Harlequins game now. 47 points to 28 in that matchup. It's a high scoring fixture, though, which I think is exactly what everyone expected when they saw that those two sides were playing off. At the end of the day, they're just two sides who know how to play a good game of rugby. That is the 80-minute siren now. So as soon as the ball goes out, it will end up being the end of the game. And also, there's something new using the backline, says Nazi Williams, and also cock blocker, says a Stone. And also, well, if the incumbent Boks ever felt they could lose their spot, they're not worried anymore. No French guys in the bar, so they're losing. There's Gareth there. There's going to be a free kick to Bristol. They could just kick this one into touch if they want to end this game. In case they're open yet, peeps, says Nazi Williams. Not too sure if they're open in the morning around these parts. I know that they finish. Well, they close at 11 p.m. New Zealand time for us in this region anyway. But that is going to be the end of the game. And the Bristol Bears have been able to get themselves the win. That is 2 from 2 that South Africa 15 have lost in their series. And Gee, Hamish, thanks, mate. Have a great day. Says Nazi Williams Show. So I should mention that we have got plenty more videos coming out on the channel, at least 3 more today. We've got the All Blacks versus England video that will be coming up on the channel. Also, alongside that, we are going to have the Samoa versus Australia lineups, and then also Samoa's lineup for their game up against Romania is the other video that is coming up on the channel as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Great stream as always. Thank you, and Johan Van Gren for the bot coach. Joe Marlin Tights must be sore from Saturday's game, says Gareth. And there's what happened to Ronan O'Gara? Not sure. What did happen to Ronan O'Gara? And Nick? In terms of like coaching wise or just in general? Do let me know. Have the Harlequins scored again? Harlequins sitting 47 points to 28. And yep, top like Kakite Whanau Arohanui, says Nate. And all that great stuff, says Brian. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. We will be back this weekend with some more rugby action in the Rugby League as well. Yeah, thank you all very much for tuning in. And I'll see you all for the next one.